Hello. Can you hear me okay? Okay. How's the energy? I'm second last, I promise. All right. When I was writing my bio, I kind of put in a little bit about myself as well. And I know we're under pressure, but I'm just trying to crack a little joke and give myself a little bit of time to settle in here. So one of the things I was saying on my bio is that I herald from a small coastal village called Termonfeckin, which generally gets a good laugh, and is something that has been made famous by Dustin the Turkey, but is very important to my 4-year-old daughter because she gets to try and kind of circumvent the rules by telling anybody who listens to her that she's from Termonfeckin, but that's not a bad word. So listen, as Darren said, my name's Kiela. I work with Bauer Media Audio Ireland, and my brief today is to talk to you about, surprisingly enough, audio, but particularly in the digital sphere, so podcasts, on-demand content, and how that complements radio. And they are very much kind of complementary forces that when used, and I think Jared spoke great, and it's amazing to have Irish research now, and we'll go into it a little bit later on, but they are very much complementary forces that when they are used together can drive really, really effective results for advertisers. And I suppose the reasoning behind that is quite simple. It goes back to the emotion. We as humans, audio for us delivers on very profound and emotional need states, and that are very different, very complementary, depending on the type of audio that we're listening to. And I suppose, as we all know, with diversity and with variety, that continuously provides opportunity for us. So, nope. And there we go. So if just to kind of take a little bit of a step back, just to kind of give ourselves some context, and the joy of being kind of towards the end of the day is you've heard some of this already, but I suppose ultimately we're all very au fait in this room, in particular with the love affair that Irish people have for radio in this market, with 92% of the 15 plus population listening on a weekly basis. But what's really exciting as well is that we in this market, as audio continues to grow that share of attention, we're actually the biggest podcast consumers globally, according to Reuters, with 41% of us listening to podcasts on a monthly basis. So where did that explosion come from? So definitely increase in services, but obviously connectivity. We can listen to audio pretty much anywhere at any time. And the beauty about audio as well is that we can be doing pretty much anything when we're listening to it. So working out, walking, parenting, whatever it is that we're doing, it truly is the ultimate companion. And I suppose what's really exciting for us at Bauer particularly is the opportunity that explosion has given us to be able to reach not just us, but our advertising partners as well, to reach and connect with new audiences. Because from a digital audio perspective, what podcasts enables us to achieve is an incremental 17% reach on those who do not listen to FM radio. That's a really exciting opportunity. So, second last talk of the day, so I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of work. So I suppose when we're trying to kind of figure out like how is audio winning this kind of share of attention, surely audio is audio. So how many people in this room listen to radio? Okay, yep, all the room, given where we are, that's a really good result. Sigh of relief. Okay, how many of you listen to podcasts? Over-indexing, nice one, well over the 41% there, okay? But here's the interesting question, right? How many of you choose what it is you want to listen to, dependent on where you are, who you're with, how you're feeling, what you're looking for, what that need is at that time? Come on. All of you. And that's what's exciting about the combination of radio and podcasting. And to back it up, what we've just kind of evidenced here in this room, and Kieran talked a little bit about it at the opening, is Radio Centre has done some research over the last kind of couple of years, and what it's fundamentally found is that there are audio and the important role that has played, and I think significantly so in the last kind of couple of years, they've identified that audio and all its components satisfy 6 contemporary need states for us as human beings. And what they are is everything from, in like the busy, connected, disconnected, frenetic world that we live in, they are very profound. So they keep us in the loop, they keep us company, they lift our mood, they help us escape. But what's interesting is it's the difference between the mood and the motivation in that kind of makes the difference in how people choose the audio that it is that they're listening to. And it's actually the characteristics of radio or of audio, either live radio or podcasts, that make it's the characteristics that make it very, very different, and that these two things serve very, very different roles in our lives. So live radio, it's all about that human touch, that human connection. It keeps us company. It nobody's dead, that's okay. It keeps us company. It keeps us in the loop. It connects us to the world around us. Whereas with podcasts, we're in control. We get to decide what we want to listen to, when we want to listen to it. And it connects us with our world and the things that we are deeply passionate with. And that's what's very different but very complementary about the two audio formats. And there's huge opportunity there. And from an advertiser perspective, I think what's significantly important is that podcasts then have that multiplier effect on other advertising formats. So this was a study that was commissioned and done by The Guardian, I think in March of this year. And what it basically says is that when you add podcasts to another type of advertising format, it actually has a multiplier effect. So it makes your campaign more effective and more efficient. So for example, when the people surveyed, when podcasts were added to a radio campaign and the statement, "It tells me something new about a brand," that positive sentiment increased by 34%. And I think a lot of what Jared spoke about earlier on actually backs this up. From a branded content perspective, when podcasts were added into the mix, that statement of "it improves my opinion of the brand," it increased by 17%. And digital display, it makes, when podcasts are added into the mix, it makes that statement of it makes the campaign more memorable and more trustworthy. That trust index increased by 18%. And although podcasts themselves individually have clear benefits, from an advertising perspective, they drive brand awareness, they increase brand perception, and they definitely drive purpose, which has been evidence. But I think it's around that word trust that's hugely important and has been referenced quite a few times today. And I think audio is hugely powerful in powering and developing trust. And with trust comes influence, and with influence comes opportunity. And there was a research done with Bauer Media there, and it was only released last month. And what they found was radio and podcast hosts are perceived as some of the most trustworthy, essential, and relatable personalities in the media ecosystem. And with that, and because of the diversity and the variety of audio content that's in the marketplace, those two things coupled deliver huge opportunity for brands to connect with those highly engaged consumers. And the people surveyed as well said that audio advertising actually delivers more cut-through and relevance for them. So 55% of them surveyed said that they would listen to advertisements more often on radio and podcasts than through any other medium, based on trust, based on influence, based on that connection and that emotional connection with audio. 53% of those surveyed found radio and podcast advertisers to be more relevant than on any other medium. And 51% of them found more trusting of radio and podcast advertisers than on any other medium. So we at Bauer Media Audio Ireland, we have been kind of realising that relationship and that opportunity for brands for ever, but certainly over the last number of years as our own kind of podcast strategy has exploded. And I've got a little kind of case study or an example of one of the campaigns that we've done now. There's lots, you know, across News Talk and Today FM, and we've worked with various brands from VHI to Heineken. But I just took this one today because it's currently in campaign, and Ger promised me he'd give me tickets to something. So, so what it's going to show, it's a little audio package, but what it is that it's a podcast, but it's supported and amplified with radio. But it's not just a radio spot, it's an editorial feature, it's a promo, there's social media, there's video, there's everything kind of looping back, so that we're able to not just kind of like cross-section the entire ecosystem, but also to amplify the content and move the different audiences around the place. So here's a very, very quick snippet of what that sounds like.
I just love moving teams, and then you have to do an initiation.
The Koi Gig Pod on OTB Sport.
Another episode of the Koi Gig Pod is up. This week's guest is Kylie Murphy. Give us Kylie Murphy's story, a real one-club stalwart.
If anyone kind of thinks of stalwarts of the league, I think Kylie's name pops up.
Right, if you want good quality sports audio in your earballs all day, just tell your smart speaker to play OTB Sports Radio. Here's what's coming up. Rihanna Jarrett is today's guest on Koi Gig. That was really interesting stuff from her, talking about her athletic identity. That's all in association with Cadbury.
It just seems to be a team full of winners.
Subscribe to the Koi Gig podcast stream on the OTB Sports app now.
Creative, effective, interesting, getting reach and immersion. So lots of opportunity there. So very quickly, I'm over time. Kieran's going to kill me. So key takeaways from today. Radio and podcasts are absolutely complementary formats that when they combine together, they drive incremental reach. Radio and podcast have the multiplier effect. So when they are combined, they drive more effectiveness for your advertising spend. And that is because of the trust that the hosts and the shows and the personalities and the brands have fostered and generated over the years. And it's this trust that powers the connection that our audiences and advertising partners are looking for.